What up, what up, what up, what up? Mr. Stewart here, back again. New live feed. Want to talk to you about Nazi social policy towards children. This question could come up. Could be about the writing account of the Nazi social policy towards children or something like that. So I'm going to take you through what the Nazi social policy was towards children. Said it about 7-8 times. Fingers crossed you realise what it is that I'm talking about. Right. Okay, so first things first. Glasses on, Mr. Stewart face on. There's a lot of cars today. A lot of cars where most of the children, and even today, children develop their understanding of the world. Yeah? Up until 1933, governments were responsible for the majority of schools. When the Nazis came to power, basically they were in charge of all schools. Okay? There were separate schools for girls and boys. Girls and boys were educated separately. And the number of physical education lessons doubled. But religious lessons were abolished. The Nazis didn't want people learning about different religions, so that was abolished. Okay? Every subject was presented from a Nazi perspective, a Nazi point of view. So if it was maths, there would be maths equations talking about pro-Nazi ideas. If it was English, it would be about Nazi literature. History, it would be all pro-Nazi and anti-Judaism and anti-communism. So everything was basically aimed at indoctrinating the children into supporting the Nazi party. Yeah? That also, in the schools, they separated the Jewish from the other children. They encouraged German children to hate the Jewish, and they prevented the Jewish children eventually from getting an education altogether. This scheme was actually a success for the Nazis because the Jewish, they would be portrayed mainly as bad, ugly and selfish people, and unfortunately a lot of the German children took this to heart and actually believed this. Okay? An example of this would be the Poisonous Mushroom book that I've spoken to you all about before. It's a nursery book teaching children to dislike the Jewish because they're supposed to be like poisonous mushrooms that make you ill. Pretty grim, but that was being taught to children from the age of 4 years old, even earlier. Now, also, the Nazis needed to ensure that the teachers were also on board. So the Nazis came up with something known as the Nazi Teachers Alliance. Now, every teacher had to be a member of this alliance. Pupils were encouraged to tell the Nazi authorities if their teachers were not following the Nazi curriculum. Okay? Other teachers were to tell the authorities if the other teachers weren't following the Nazi curriculum or were being anti-Nazi. So there was a big incentive in ensuring that the teachers were on board. Okay? The Minister of Education was the person that was in charge of implementing this. His name was Bernard Rust. During this time as well, he sanctioned the burning of all books that might be portraying anti-Nazi propaganda. Okay? So they got rid of books that went against Nazi ideologies. Members of the Nazi Alliance, Nazi Teachers Alliance, had to accept this, they had to condone it, and they were not allowed to teach anti-Nazi ideas. Timetables generally for children consisted of physical education, pro-Nazi history, pro-Nazi geography, German and biology. So they wouldn't have been learning English, they would have been learning German literature, pro-Nazi German literature. So Some schools were mainly focusing on Aryan children, so they only had the Nordic Aryans in the schools, but they were few and far between. The idea of Nazis' policy towards children in education was to prepare children for the future, to prepare the future of the Nazi party that would last for 1,000 years. Yeah. The other part of the Nazi policy, Nazi social policy, the youth, was known as the Hitler Youth Movement. So the Hitler Youth Movement is something separate to education. Most of the time the children were at school, but the Nazis wanted to target their leisure time. So they came up with the Hitler Youth Movement. Now, the young people of Germany were, in the Nazis' eyes, very important, okay? And the Nazis felt like they needed to ensure that they were the children, the youth of Germany were happy with the Nazis, and they needed to on exciting things within the Hitler Youth. It was established in 1925, and by 1932 they had 108,000 members. 108,000 members by 1932. Hitler Youth Act was passed in 1936, which basically gave the Hitler Youth the same status as going to school. So it was made difficult to avoid being a member of the Hitler Youth. Parents, they were not able to get a promotion at work. They were not able to get an increase in wage unless their children were part of the Hitler Youth. So it was a big incentive to encourage the children to join the Hitler Youth. Yeah. In 1939, membership was 8 million children were part of the Hitler Youth. That's a lot of children following Nazi ideology. Activities for the Hitler Youth included military skills, shooting, map reading, those sorts of things. Now, youth was mainly focused on boys. Now, there was also a Hitler Youth for girls, which focused on encouraging them to be mothers, house cleaning, focused on things that were not necessarily because they wanted to get trained to follow the 3Ks, and the 3Ks did not include anything other than kitchen and church. I'm Mr. Stewart. That is the social policy towards the children of Germany. Rewind, check it out. It's a quick revision video for you. Nothing too heavy, nothing too detailed, just enough to get you those vital marks, to get you that vital pass. I'll catch you later. Peace.